All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 10. And this week we're going to be talking about LGBTQ plus family violence relationships. I'm going to do this kind of like I did week 8, and I'm not going to do like a PowerPoint. I'm going to upload the publisher PowerPoint. That way you'll have that information. But I'm going to do just like a quick overview of some of the important information. So, as we talked about last week with intimate partner violence, that was kind of spawned by the women's battered movement. And one of the unintended consequences of the women's battering movement was the recognition of LGBTQ or same sex relationship violence. And so that's why we kind of devote this part of the time together speaking about these particular issues. Um, if you do not know what the LGBTQ plus acronym stands for, it's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, intersex. I think your book calls it LGBTI, but the acronym it has a lot of different acronyms. It's LGBTQ plus, LGBTQIA plus, SOGIA, sexual orientation or gender identity. But in essence, it's same sex relationships. And so we know that these relationships and these population um, of individuals are highly susceptible to violence in general, just due to cultural norms of of really kind of having a culture of secrecy when it comes to these type of relationships. There is a lot of homophobia in our society today. Even though we've come a long way, um, there's still a major societal um, a major societal norm, I guess you would say, of these relationships not being accepted, which makes it really hard to gather data around these relationships and the violent occurrences in these relationships. So, some of the major, one of the major milestones that you will read about is Obergefell v. Hodges, and that was done in 2015. And that Supreme Court decision basically opened the way for same sex marriage in the United States. And with same sex marriage came same sex benefits. So, all of the benefits of marriage that you see from a heterosexual couple, you also now have been given at a federal level those same privileges to same sex couples. However, there are a lot of different states that have not updated um, their definitions of intimate partners. So you still see some push and pull back and forth from the criminal justice system around how we respond to same sex intimate partner violence, just because it may not be looked at as criminal in some instances because the definition of intimate partner may not recognize same sex relationships. It is important that as you're reading, you note that intimate partner violence is the leading health problem faced by gay men, and they don't really report intimate partner violence due to the social stigma around their relationship and themselves in general. So remember, we go back to that culture of secrecy and hiding those relationships and things like that make it difficult for some of those victims to um, come forward with the victimization. You will read about the different abuses, forms of abuse, and I before I get there, I will say in lesbian relationships, it's very similar. It is a major crisis in those relationships that people don't um, don't really report due to just varying issues of social stigma and things like that. So, as you read, notice on your forms of abuse when you get to that section, you see all of the normal, uh, it's sad to say, but kind of normal abuse typologies um, that you would see in a heterosexual intimate partner violence. You see the physical, the psychological, emotional, the sexual, economic, but there is an added typology with same sex marriage or same sex intimate partner violence, and that is identity abuse. And so, with identity abuse, please pay particular attention to this type of abuse. This abuse um, plays on the homophobia in the culture. So essentially, with identity abuse, it may be someone who is still in the closet and doesn't want their relationship to be known. And so, a form of intimate partner violent identity abuse is the partner trying to control the victim will try to out the victim. And that has a lot of repercussions. Um, could cost jobs, could cost family ties, things like that. So that is a new form of intimate partner violence that is specifically for this population of LGBTQ plus individuals. And then you're going to read about some of the theoretical explanations of same sex intimate partner violence. You're going to see the feminist perspective, which is really rooted in oppression and societal oppression. So basically, saying that society has oppressed this individual group. And because of that oppression, it creates ongoing tension, and that tension creates the violence in the relationship. You're going to see the psychological framework, which really kind of talks about internalized homophobia and kind of individuals hating themselves for being in a same sex couple relationship internally and kind of lashing out that way. And then you're going to read about the social psychological um, theoretical framework, which kind of focuses on the familial institution itself. So please make sure you kind of pay attention to that aspect of the readings this week. And then finally, we've already talked about this, but you're going to conclude this week with the criminal justice system's response. It is important to note that the criminal justice system typically acts in a reactive standpoint, which means that, especially with this population, the system is not very proactive with really any type of enforcement or proactive and prevention. You don't hear a lot of focus around same sex intimate partner violence. Um, so you also have those laws that are very murky and very gray that can lead to some confusion with law enforcement who go to situations of same sex intimate partner violence. So you're going to read about that. Please pay attention to some of the challenges that we see in the criminal justice system, especially around laws and kind of definitional issues within the law that kind of makes it really hard for us to gather true um, data around occurrences and things like that. So this week, I hope that you kind of it's an extension of last week as far as the intimate partner violence, but we're going to focus specifically on a subset of same sex relationships. I do like to um, kind of focus on this area in several different classes just because we don't see a lot of research and a lot of focus on this area. So please make sure you pay attention this week. The PowerPoint will be up. It's the publisher PowerPoint, so you're going to have all the information. Do the readings. There will be a discussion board. And as always, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. And give me some feedback. If you don't like me doing like the summary lectures like this, and you want me to go back to doing the PowerPoint slide by slide lectures, let me know. I can always kind of rearrange, but I think this kind of helps you focus your attention throughout the week on the reading. That way you don't kind of get bogged down in all of the information. So I hope you all have a great week. As always, if you need anything, feel free to reach out. I will see you all next week. Thanks.